Hey, what's going on? My name is Colin Mason, and today I'm going to be diving into the 5 things that I wish I knew before I started my DeFi journey. Now, there's a lot. I had a list of 20 things that I could talk about today, but I distilled it down to the top 5. And let's just dive straight in. Number 1 is semi-boring is good. And what the heck do I mean by semi-boring? Well, I think in DeFi and in crypto in general, it's all very exciting. There's new projects every single day. There's new tokens. There's new things being launched. There's a ton of innovation in this space, which I think is a great thing. I like new products. I like innovations. I like new ways of approaching the solutions of some of the problems that we see in traditional finance vehicles, as well as in DeFi already. However, as an investor, that's the approach I'm taking here. As an investor and as a DeFi business owner, I don't want it to be too exciting. Okay, because too exciting generally means that it's on the newer side as well as it's on the more speculative and risky side of things. So for me, I like to set a really, really strong foundation and think about semi-boring. Okay, semi-boring for me is not having to check my computer every single day. Now I do because I'm in this world so much, but for us as investors and DeFi business owners, I don't want you to be waking up in the middle of the night and checking your liquidity pools or checking the price of said assets because of potentially the risk profile that you've taken on. So in a way, the way I've tried to describe this here is semi-boring is good. Now, completely boring, I don't think is great. I think we should be excited about the technologies. I think we should be excited to research and to expand and to think about other narratives and other things that are out there. So that's why I said semi-boring is good. But a different way to say this is have a solid foundation first and then expand from there. Don't just get caught up in the shiny objects that are constantly inundated on our screens and on YouTube. And I'm on YouTube, but semi-boring. Semi-boring is good because you can go on Twitter or X and you can get another 15 investment ideas and coins and tokens to chase. And I just think that leads most DeFi investors down the route of kind of expanding too far too quickly without really having a solid foundation. So for me, semi-boring is good. Let's dive into number 2. Number 2, treat this like a business. This is our motto here on the YouTube channel, but treat it like a business. And what I mean by that is how you operate and the tracking that you do and the thought process that you take should be treated with some attention. It should be an intentional movement that you're doing as opposed to kind of randomly. I have these stack of chips that I have here. Instead of just taking these random chips and placing them everywhere, treat it as a business. Treat this as you're a business operator. And so a business operator who's running a company would not just throw chips randomly. They wouldn't just be spending money on random marketing schemes or on just hiring people willy-nilly. Think about it in a calculated way, and then as you approach it that way, the decisions you're going to make are going to be a heck of a lot more in alignment with the ultimate mission that you have, as opposed to, like I said, throwing money randomly willy-nilly. Now, the second sentence I wrote there, my sanity and sleep is very important to me. What I mean by that is, for me, and I'm sure potentially you as well, you have a job or you're running a company or you have other responsibilities in your life. And the way I talk about this with my accelerator crew is DeFi is amazing. What we are doing is amazing. There's a massive opportunity that we have, and even Raoul Paul says kind of our hopes and dreams are reliant on this trade, and I get that. However, I don't want us to be losing sleep, or I don't want this to be causing stress or increasing your anxiety levels because you are potentially taking on too much risk. And so something to think about is, are you waking up? Kind of like a little test you can do is, are you waking up in the middle of the night and worried about price action? Are you worried about the value of your liquidity pools in your DeFi positions? Or are you sleeping well at night and knowing when I get up to my computer, I'm going to see what I have and we can make the decisions from there? I think as business owners, that's the approach we should take, is setting up a foundation and making sure that we have the pieces in place so that we can sleep well at night, wake up inspired, wake up excited to check check the charts and check the positions and kind of see the realized results that we're getting. But for it to be keeping you awake at night, that's affecting you as a human being. And I think our DeFi portfolio and our crypto portfolio should enhance us as human beings, not detract us and not distract us from other parts of our life. Speaking of distracting, I have a great mini story here. So huge Mets fan, huge New York Mets fan. My pops have been for a very long time. And in the last playoffs, like I said, I'm a Mets fan. So they were playing the Dodgers in the playoff series. And I remember this so vividly. I have a walking treadmill right here underneath my desk, and I brought my TV, which is usually over there. I brought it right here in front of my desk. I didn't have these computers here at the time, so my laptop was shut. It was on the table that was sitting over there. I have my big TV in front of me. I'm walking on the treadmill, and I'm enjoying watching the Mets. This was later on in the evening. I'm watching the Mets-Dodgers game. And every few minutes or so, my mind was going towards my computer, meaning like I was so distracted by what I was trying to enjoy because I was worried about a liquidity pool that I was in. Now, why was I worried about the liquidity pool? Because the token itself that was inside that liquidity pool was going through a rough time, and it was trending down. And so for me, I was so distracted from what I was trying to do, which was just enjoy my evening watching my favorite team in the playoffs. And all I could think about was a token and a liquidity pool that I had overexposure into, right? I had too much capital in that one play that it was distracting me from what I was trying to do. And so I wrote a nice big post inside the mindset group inside the UIG describing this thought process of I will not be held hostage to any DeFi or crypto asset that I'm holding. This should, again, enhance my life, not detract from it. So number 2, treat this like a business. Your sleep, your sanity is extremely important. And to give credit Chad and Justin, who kind of really took this one to the front here, is all of these DeFi positions are your employees inside this business. And so it's okay to part ways with an employee that's a pain in the butt. In that instance, that liquidity pool that I had was a pain in my butt. I was so worried about their performance that I said, you know what? It's not worth it. I'm going to treat this like a business owner. This is not effective anymore. Let's part ways. And now I can move that capital. I can move my attention to something that's going to enhance my life and my portfolio. So hopefully that makes sense for number 2. Number 3, as we continue to move down here, rebalancing. This was a big one for me. Rebalancing is not your friend. It's not your friend. What do we mean by that is when we set a range inside of a liquidity pool, right? In a concentrated liquidity pool, we determine which range we want to supply that liquidity to so that when users swap those two assets back and forth inside of that price range, we're earning fees. We're earning rewards for doing that, for providing that liquidity. And it's a great mechanism. However, when we pop out of range, we stop earning those fees. And so a rebalance is removing the assets from that pool and then reestablishing a new range. Now, a lot of these other platforms that we use allow us to do rebalancing actions very easily, almost too easily. And why it's so easy to move is now we can do almost 1, 2, 3 clicks, click submit, pay the gas fee, and all of a sudden we have a brand new range that's earning fees. And that's a great structure, a great platform that we can use. However, we're not understanding the underlying kind of moves that's happening when we're doing that. Every time we rebalance, we are locking in permanent loss. And so this video is not really about that. But all I'm trying to communicate here is it's so easy to rebalance. It's so easy to change our range and position and easily swap. A lot of these zap-in features too make it so easy for us to swap one asset for another. But what tends to happen is if we do that frequently, we are locking in a ton of impermanent loss. And so if the assets move back to our original starting price, let's say we entered with Ethereum at $2,000, if we are rebalancing all the way up and all the way down, if ETH returns to that $2,000, the value of our liquidity pool the value is not going to be what it was at the start. And so again, it's a little bit more of a complicated factor here, but rebalancing is not your friend. Although it's very easy to do, try to do it as infrequently as you possibly can. Okay, second half of this, spend more time on your entry, meaning look at the historical volume, look at the TVL, look at the volume and the ratio of those two metrics there. Look at the correlation. Look at the correlation of the two assets if they're two moving assets like Bitcoin and ETH. Look at the price action. Are they correlated? Meaning, are they moving together in tandem? Slow down, take your time, set a good range that has nice support, nice resistance, and just take more time prior to entry to make sure that position is what you're looking for. Very similar to number 2, treating it like a business. You wouldn't just hire somebody randomly. You would put them through an interview process. You would see, are they a good fit for my culture? Meaning, are they a good fit for my entire DeFi portfolio? Are they going to achieve what I want them to achieve? Is this a good fit for the specific role I want it to fulfill inside of my company? If the answer is yes, then absolutely go for it. If the answer is no, it's not, don't just hire that person because I need that position filled. It's okay to sit on cash and capital as you start to conduct this interview process and actually hire an employee that's going to achieve the results you want them to achieve. So that's number 3. Okay. Number 4. Okay. I got into a little debate with the UIG. Remember about this, and it was such a good conversation. The number 4 here, diversification across more assets doesn't mean that it's less risky. Okay. So the conversation that I was having with the gentleman inside the UIG was through a quiz that we have. We have a quiz that sort of that looks at the investor profile, what we call an investor profile. It's basically a risk profile. And from there, we are trying to decide, are you more of a conservative risk, based on risk? Are you more of a conservative investor? Or are you kind of a midstream, kind of a mid-risk investor? Or do you like risk? Do you not mind taking on more risk? And through that quiz, one of the questions is about diversification, right? And so the conversation I was having with this gentleman was, that we might just automatically think that diversification, so the more we have, the more assets we have, the more spread out we are in terms of narratives or based on market caps or based on everything, the more spread out we are, the less risky it is. And I don't necessarily think that's true. So an example I gave is, okay, well, let's say one gentleman over here has a portfolio with the big dogs, right? Bitcoin, XRP, ETH, and Solana. So he's got 4 assets, right? In exposure inside of his DeFi portfolio, 4 assets. This other gentleman has exposure to 26 assets. And what I did is I listed those 4, right? I'm a Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, and Sol. And then I listed out like 19 other assets. Good assets, solid projects, not these crazy meme coins, but I included some meme coins, but I spread it across a ton of different narratives, a ton of different things, some large cap assets, some micro cap assets, and I just spread it out and I said, which one of these portfolios is more risky? And we both agreed, shoot, the one that has all of this exposure is more risky. And so diversification across more assets doesn't mean that you're taking on less risk. In fact, I would argue and say the farther you go out, the more risky your portfolio becomes. And so it's okay to think of number 1 here. Semi-boring is good. Having a strong foundation with solid assets, in my opinion, is the best approach to have. So if I knew that going in at the start of my journey, I would not have expanded my portfolio out to 26 assets, which I have done. So hopefully that makes sense. Last one that I have here, and actually I have a little bit of a bonus, but if you want me to do a whole nother YouTube video, a whole nother training on this, I can certainly do that for you. So just let me know. Number 5 is visually map it out. This actually probably should be number 1, but maybe I'm saving best for last year. The best thing that I've ever done is create a Miro board. I'm using Miro, it's a company here, but using a visual board to actually map out my strategies, map out my positions, actually have it all in one place. And so I have a Miro board, and I call it my Miro board, or my crypto DeFi business plan. And basically I have my goals up top. I have my scorecard, my KPI scorecard on the right. And then down below, I have the map. I have my different positions, whether it be lending and borrowing positions, or like my bull run bag, kind of my single asset exposure holdings, as well as my liquidity pools. And then I have it moved into like phase 2. So phase 1 is accumulation. Phase 2 is taking profit and actually creating short positions and hedge positions and a whole bunch of other things. And so visually mapping out this into a one-pager, if you will, is really good for your sanity, because you know what you're doing, but also it sort of just summarizes your business all there right together. And so if you want to take it a step further, you can even link your tracking sheets there. So what you can do in the morning when you're getting ready to manage your DeFi business here, you can just log in, you can look at your goals, you can look at your scorecard, you can look at the visual map of all your positions, and then click your tracking services, input all that data, and take a look at your system and go, is this still in alignment with how I want to operate? If not, make some changes. If it is, good, go about your day, right? And so that's number 5 here. Visually map out your system. In fact, inside the UIG, on a monthly basis, it's actually really long. The last one was 40 minutes long, and I got some feedback. I said 40 minutes long, how was it? And the feedback I got was, Colin, if it could be 6 hours long as there's no fluff and as long as it gets me all the information I need, I don't care how long it is. I said, that's a great piece of feedback right there. So a little bit of a longer video, 40 minutes. However, I talked through everything. I talked through my entire positions, my entire system, my goals, why I'm making the decisions that I'm making. And through that conversation, you can get a feel for not just copying the positions I'm in. Don't do that. Think of why is he in these positions? What are the goals that he has for each one of these employees inside the business? And what's the thought process behind managing those positions? And so in those monthly videos that I like to do, I put that all in there and I call it Colin's Complete System. And it's a thing I do on a monthly basis. So if you're not part of the UIG, I recommend it. I don't know what you're doing. Get inside the UIG. If you're in the UIG, check out those in the reports, guides, and reviews section inside that educational portal. You'll see all my system breakdowns there. And number 5, I know this video is getting kind of long, but the last one I have here, and like I said, I can do a whole nother video on this, but build a Mario Kart themed DeFi portfolio. And you might be thinking, what the heck are you talking about, Colin? This is by far my favorite analogy. And if you're in my UIG, in my accelerator group, I use a lot of analogies to do my teachings. And one of my favorite ones that I talk about is a Mario Kart themed DeFi portfolio. So I'm going to do this very, very quickly. But again, if you want a much more in-depth video, I can certainly do it. So the idea here is that these blue boxes are... if you ever played Mario Kart, you got those nitros boosts and you have the blue boxes that are kind of spread out throughout the map, and those give you little boosts. And so I see these blue boxes as more risky plays. And so when I'm saying build out a DeFi themed portfolio, what I'm looking for is to get inside of liquidity pools or DeFi positions rather that steadily get you around the track. I'm thinking them as foundational pools that get you around the track. And what's great, like I said in number 1, by building a semi-boring portfolio, is your trip around the track here of Mario Kart could be semi-boring. You could not hit any of those nitros boosts, not go for any of the blue boxes, and you would be able to finish that race. And so I think of foundational pools as just holding down the accelerator, right, the little A button or whatever, that gets you consistently around the track. Now, we can intentionally hit these blue boxes for speed boost, but we have to be intentional about them. So give you this example. If you're starting the race right here and you're going left around this track, if you were to, the countdown, right? 3, 2, 1, ding, and you start the race. Well, if you were to see this blue box right here, is this one that would be beneficial to your race? The answer is absolutely not. If you were to go straight at this blue box, you would slam face first right into the wall. And this is what a lot of people do in DeFi, in my opinion, just from my observations, and I've done it. I'm guilty. Is, okay, I'm ready to start the race. I'm so excited. I have capital on ramped. Oh my gosh, what is this shiny object? This looks fun. I hit the box, and all of a sudden, I'm slammed first into the wall, and all my momentum is stopped. And so what this means is I've taken the move, and I've seen the shiny object. I saw that 400% APR, and I've completely derailed myself and smashed myself up against a wall. And so when I'm saying build a DeFi themed portfolio, I want consistent pools that get me consistently around the track. And I can intentionally go, is this a good one for me to hit here? No, it's not. Right? There's a lot of risk. It might slam me up against the wall. So I'm going to continue to move forward. But now as you come around the last leg here, you see this blue box that's right in line with the rest of my trip. This is an intentional box, an intentional risk, if you will, that we can take that might speed us along a little bit faster, but it doesn't derail us from our ultimate mission, which is finishing the game, which is getting around the track. So like I said, if you want a much more in-depth video about that metaphor and analogy, I can certainly do it. Just request it right down in the comments below. And hopefully that makes sense. Those are my 5 things, actually 6 things that I wish I learned when I first got started in my DeFi journey. So with that being said, we shall see you in the next one. Peace.